Back when I was younger, I believed life was effortless. My father was wealthy, so I never felt the need to worry. I didn't focus on studies. I didn't do any kind of work. Everything I wanted was just a request away. If I saw something I liked, I simply asked my father, and he made it mine. My friends used to tell me to think ahead, to prepare for the future, but I always laughed it off. Why should I? My dad had money. Wasn't that enough? Each morning I woke up late. Breakfast was served in bed. I spent hours glued to the TV. Some days I'd hang out with friends, eating at the fanciest restaurants, wearing designer outfits, speeding around in luxury cars. That was my routine. Life felt like a dream, and I truly believed it would stay that way forever. I never gave money a second thought. I never considered what it meant to work. Whenever I wanted to travel, I packed my bags. New shoes? I bought them. Latest phone? I got the top model. My father covered it all. I never once stopped to think about how hard he worked to give me that life. I never asked him about his business. I was too busy enjoying myself, living only for the moment. The future? That didn't exist in my mind. Then one day my father called me. His face was serious, his tone heavy. "Sit down," he said. I chuckled, a little confused, but did as he asked. "Son," he began, "we need to talk." I nodded casually, but something fell off. His usual warmth wasn't there. This wasn't one of his usual fatherly chats. "You're not a kid anymore," he said firmly. "It's time you start thinking about your future." I laughed it off. "Dad, I already have everything I could need." He shook his head slowly. "No, you have it all because I work hard, but life doesn't stay easy forever. Things can change, quickly." I didn't get it. To me, he was just overthinking. "Nothing's going to change, Dad. Don't stress." But he didn't smile. He just stared at me quietly and said, "We'll see." I shrugged it off and left the room. I didn't let his words bother me. That night I went out, spent money, had fun, same as always. I had no idea that everything was about to shift. The next morning, like always, I woke up late. I reached for my phone. Dozens of messages from friends, all making plans. I smiled, got dressed in my best clothes, sprayed my signature scent, and made my way downstairs. But in the living room, there he was again. My father. Waiting. His face was unreadable. "Sit," he said. I sighed. "Dad, I already have plans." He didn't care. "You're not a child," he said firmly. "It's time you understand what life really is." I rolled my eyes. "Dad, I know life," I said. He simply shook his head. "No, you don't." Then he said something unexpected. "Come with me." I followed him outside, confused. He didn't speak. We got into his car, and he began to drive. That day, the city looked different to me. I saw people rushing, workers cleaning the roads, men pushing carts, selling fruits. I had passed by these sights before. This time we were outside a tall, sleek building. His office. I had been there before, but never for long. Usually just to grab some cash or ask for a favor. But today felt different. He stepped out. "Come," he said. I followed him inside. The atmosphere inside was hectic. People moved quickly. Phones buzzed non-stop. Papers piled up on desks. It was a world of motion and pressure. He led me to his personal office and sat down behind his desk. He looked directly at me. "Do you know what I do every day?" he asked. I shrugged. "You work," I replied. He nodded. "Yes, But do you have any idea how hard I work? I didn't answer. I sat in silence. He went on. I wake up early. I make tough decisions. I solve problems no one else wants to face. I run this entire company, and I do it all for you. I looked around the room. The people outside the glass walls. Typing away. Talking on phones. Faces lined with stress. They weren't just background characters anymore. They were real. And suddenly I saw what I'd been blind to for so long. I only ever saw the money my father gave me. Never how he earned it. And then I felt it. A feeling I hadn't known before. Guilt. He reached into a drawer and handed me a small notebook. Starting tomorrow, he said, you'll be working here. I stared at him. Me? Work? He didn't laugh. Yes, you'll start from the bottom. You'll learn what this life means. I was speechless. But I don't need to work. He shook his head. You do. Because one day I won't be here. And then what will you do? I couldn't respond. I had never imagined a world without him. I had never imagined needing to stand on my own. I had never imagined anything beyond comfort. But now it didn't matter. The decision had already been made. Tomorrow everything would change. Tomorrow I would work for the very first time. The next morning I woke up early. That alone felt strange. I was used to sleeping in. But this day was different. I got dressed and headed downstairs. My father was already waiting. He handed me a small bag. Your lunch, he said. I raised an eyebrow. Lunch? Can't I eat at a restaurant? He shook his head. Workers bring their own. And today, you're one of them. We left the house and drove to his office. But instead of his spacious, polished room, he led me to a much smaller area. Tight, filled with desks and computers. People were typing, clicking, focused. No one looked up. A man with glasses approached us. He looked serious. This is Mr. William, my father said. You'll report to him. And with that, he turned and left. Mr. William didn't waste time. Follow me, he said briskly. I kept up with his pace as he brought me to a plain desk. Sit here, he said, placing a heavy stack of papers in front of me. Check these. Look for errors in the numbers. Mark them clearly. I stared at the stack. All of them, he nodded. Yes, and work quickly. I sat down and started. At first, it seemed manageable. But after an hour, my head throbbed. I wasn't above them. I was one of them. The second half of the day was tougher. Mr. William handed me a bigger stack. Let's see if you can handle this, he said. I felt the urge to complain, but I didn't. I nodded. I focused. And I worked. The hours dragged. My body screamed. My hands were numb, but I kept going. I had something to prove. Not just to my father, but to myself. By the end of the day, Mr. William stood by my desk. He didn't smile, but he said, not bad. 2 words. But they hit me like a trophy. I left the building. My father was outside again. Tired, he asked. I nodded. He smiled. Good. And in that moment, I finally understood why he brought me here. Why he pushed me. Why he made me start from the ground. I didn't want to run from work anymore. I wanted to learn more. Days turned into weeks. Weeks into months. I showed up every morning. At first, everything hurt. My body. My mind. But slowly, I improved. Fewer errors. Faster work. Mr. Williams still didn't crack a smile, but he stopped criticizing. Sometimes, he even said, "Good job." And those words, simple as they were, meant more than anything money could buy. I started to see things differently. Before, I only spent money. Now, I understood it. I saw the grind. The patience. The pressure. I saw my father differently, too. He wasn't just a man who wrote checks. He was someone who built something. With his bare hands. One evening, he called me to his office. He didn't say much at first. Just looked at me for a long time. Then he spoke. "You've changed." I didn't know how to respond. He continued. "You used to be careless. Lazy. You didn't care about anything but comfort. But now, you understand." And he was right. I had changed. I felt stronger. Sharper. More. Alive. Then he surprised me. He opened a drawer, pulled out a small key, and placed it in my hand. "This is your office now," he said. My heart skipped. "My office?" I asked, stunned. He nodded. "You've earned more responsibility. You've worked hard. It's time to take the next step." I looked down at the key. It was small, but it felt heavy. Not because of its weight, but because of what it meant. It was trust. It was belief. The next day, I moved in. The office wasn't big. It wasn't fancy. But it was mine. My desk. My chair. My tasks. I wasn't just an employee anymore. I was learning to lead. It wasn't easy. I still messed up. Some days were rough, but I didn't stop. I kept going. I kept growing. I didn't just want to be like my father anymore. I wanted to build something of my own. Looking back now, I laugh at the boy I used to be. Thinking life was easy. Thinking money was magic. Thinking it would never end. But now I know better. Life is effort. Life is discipline. Life is earning something with your own two hands. And thanks to my father, I finally learned how to do that. I'm no longer afraid of tomorrow. Not because I'm rich, but because I've learned how to work for everything that matters. The numbers blurred together. My eyes strained. I wanted to stop, but I couldn't. No one else around me was resting. No one chatted. No one scrolled through their phones. This wasn't my world of luxury. This was work. By lunchtime, I was drained. I opened the small bag. The food was simple. No rich flavors. No fancy drinks. Just a basic meal. I ate quietly. Around me, the others did the same. No long breaks. No loud laughs. Just silence and focus. I realized I missed my old life. The ease, the freedom. But alongside that, something new grew inside me. Respect. These people were strong. They did this every day. And now so did I. The second half of the day hit even harder. My back ached. My fingers cramped. My mind wanted to quit. But I didn't. I couldn't. Mr. William returned and looked over my work. He found mistakes. "Do it again," he said. I sighed, frustrated. I wanted to argue, but I didn't. I nodded and started again. By the time the day ended, I was a different person. Exhausted, but changed. For the first time in my life, I understood what it meant to earn something. For the first time, I understood the weight of hard work. That day, something finally clicked inside me. The truth that money doesn't come easy. As I stepped out of the office, I saw my father waiting near the car. He didn't ask how my day went. He didn't say much. He just gave me a simple smile. And for the very first time, I smiled back. Not because life was simple, but because I'd earned it. The next morning came fast. I woke up early again. My body was sore. My hands stiff. I had never felt this kind of pain before. Every muscle in me told me to stay in bed. But I couldn't. I had work to do. I got dressed and made my way downstairs. My father was already sitting at the table. He looked up, gave a short nod, and said, "Good." That was all, but it hit different. It felt like he was proud. At the office, Mr. William was waiting. Still no smile. "You were too slow yesterday," he said flatly. "Today, work faster." I wanted to argue, maybe throw in a joke, but I didn't. I just sat down and started. Another stack of papers. More numbers. My head still pounded. My back still ached. But I pushed through. I didn't stop. I didn't quit. By noon, I was done. Mr. William checked the pages. He found fewer mistakes than before. "Better," he said. Just one word. But to me, it meant more than a gift. More than a party. For once, I felt like I'd done something that mattered. During lunch, I sat with the other employees. They chatted about their kids, their spouses, their problems. They laughed. They ate quickly. Then they got back to it. No long breaks. No mindless gossip. Just life. Real life. And for the first time, I was sitting among them.